What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The one and only James Williams, Dog Waters. And today I'm going to need you to hit the like button. We get ready to get into this controversy around Pete Hegseth. And I'm going to explain to you why they want Pete Hegseth gone. In a nutshell, it's because he's a real war fighter inside of the Pentagon. And you have all these attorneys in Obama and Clinton and Bush appointees that he is literally severing the ties of them away from the American government. And so they can't move forward with their plans of world domination like their damn pinky in the brain.
We're going to get the latest now on the controversy surrounding Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. New security questions raised from his use of a commercial messaging app for sensitive national security communication. Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Rudd is tracking that story. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, George. This morning, more alarming news out of the Pentagon. Sources telling ABC that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth accused the then acting chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Admiral Chris Grady, of leaking information to the press. The sources say Hegseth was shouting at Admiral Grady after a story appeared about Elon Musk's possible top-secret briefing by the Joint Chiefs on China. The Wall Street Journal first to report that Hegseth demanded proof from Admiral Grady that he didn't leak the story, yelling, "I'll hook you up to a expletive polygraph." And this morning, Hegseth's press spokesman denying that the defense secretary had the commercial app Signal on a personal computer inside his Pentagon office. Sources told ABC that the computer was connected to an unsecured commercial line, what is known as a dirty line, since it does not have firewall protection. All this, as we've learned this morning from sources, that Hegseth's chief of staff has now departed the Pentagon. Joe Casper will now take on a part-time advisory role in the government. We are told Casper's departure follows the dismissal of top aides to Hegseth. Those aides were escorted out of the building by security, George.
Yeah, real exodus there. Meantime, the New York.
Now I want you to notice how they framed this, ladies and gentlemen. You see the framing around it? Watch this. Watch who was actually escorted out. But I want you to see the framing. It was framed like, oh, there's a rebellion against Hegseth in the Pentagon. You saw the framing, right? Right? You see the framing, right? This was a day ago. The day of Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. The people that we gonna talk about, they was fired and escorted out on Thursday. But I just want you to see this. This is how deceitful the media is, man.
Hold on one second. We about to get to the bottom of this, ladies and gentlemen. This don't make no sense whatsoever. Welcome to the Dog Waters channel, where we explore mysteries, figure out the truth, dive into politics, and anything else you want to know about. That's what we doing over here, baby. Let's go.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The one and only James Williams, Dog Waters. Hopefully this audio is better. This room is super echoey. And if not, I'm just going to have to take the drive back to the office, which I've been trying to avoid, so I can increase the amount of content. But if it doesn't work, then we just take the ride and spend a little more time there. What I want to talk to you this morning about is this contention that you see all over the place about Pete Hegseth. If you notice, this week was an attack on Pete Hegseth, and you would ask yourself, why would Signal, the program that people are told to use by the federal government, why would there constantly be this contention over Signal when they're told to use it? And why is there these constant attacks and calls for Pete Hegseth to step down? It's because the deep state inside the Pentagon has to get rid of Pete Hegseth. He is utterly eviscerating the deep state. They want war with Iran, and he said, "No, we're not going to war with Iran." Trump comes out this week and says, "I'm not going to allow Israel to drag us into war." Also this week, we saw where there came out a story where Russia finalized its defense pact with Iran, right? And if you've been following the globalist plan from the beginning, their plan is to overthrow the entire Middle East. They want to be able to bring the the central banks into the Middle East. Why? Because the central banks is how they make all their money. So Iran does not have a central bank. It's not under the authority of the central bank. If you can overthrow Iran, you can bring a central bank in there. And they just recently succeeded when they overthrew Bashar Assad, if I'm not mistaken, wherever Bashar Assad was. You remember, they tried it under Obama. Obama's like, Assad must go. Assad must go. I remember him coming out there. That was the video where he came out and it looked like he had two horns on the back of his head, like this. If you go back, it's an iconic photo of him. He's giving a speech, and you literally see two horns. The imagery is two horns on his head. He's like, Assad must go. Well, Assad went. Right? Assad is gone now, and Christian persecution has taken over in that nation. That's Syria. Thank you, Lord. Syria. So the Assad regime was overthrown in Syria, and then Christian persecution came. The same thing that Hillary Clinton, wicked, evil behind, did with Gaddafi. She overthrew Gaddafi. We came, we saw, he died. Christian persecution. Beheadings. You got to understand that there's a spiritual warfare aspect to all of this. And then there's just full-on demonic murderous aspect of it. And their conquering aspect. They go hand in hand. So when we see Condoleezza Rice come out and she goes at Pete Hegseth, you know that Pete Hegseth is the right man in the right position to do the job. Point blank, period. There's no way around it. When you see them attacking these men consistently, they attacked them this week. Last week they took off. They took 2 weeks off. Then they attacked them again. You know without a shadow of a doubt that these are the globalists, the wicked people, the most wicked amongst us that want to deal with the Pentagon. Because he's going in and he's disrupting them and destroying everything that they have. And it's important that all these systems be destroyed and dismantled and rebuilt, because these are systems that have been put in place over the past 50 years. One of the things that came out today, not today, but overall week of prayer, was the understanding of what fascism is, and the root word of fascism, which is fasci, and what a fasci actually is. Straight from the throne of the Lord, straight explained. A fasci is a bundle of sticks, weak sticks, that are bundled together and tied together. That one weak stick you can break, right? 2 weak sticks you can break. You take 100 little bitty weak sticks and bind them together, and they can't be broken. And that's what we see inside of our government. We see all these little bitty weak sticks, these weaklings. We've been saying these people are weak. All these weaklings have bound themselves together, and it makes it hard for us to break them. But the way you have to deal with it is you have to cut the lashing of it. Once the lashing's cut, they fall apart. So what you're watching happening right now is the slicing of the lashing that's holding them together. And as they fall on the ground, you start stepping on them and breaking them. But what we're going through right now is the cutting of the lashes, or the lashing, that holds together the deep state. That's why what Elon Musk did was so important, because Doge was cutting the lashes. The lashes were the finances that held them all together. The lashes were the finances that allowed them to take money from the federal government and send it across seas, then embezzle that money back into the United States and put it into campaigns to put them in office. How do all these weak people like AOC get in office? How do all these clowns like the ones that have been going down to El Salvador actually get in office? How does a wicked person like Nancy Pelosi, who never campaigns in her district, stay in office? Because they're lashing. Yeah. Keep watching the waters, man. Keep watching the waters, man. These dark waters is deep, and we going to the bottom of them. So watch this. Queen snaps. Well, that's not what the article says. Let's get to the top of the article. Obama lapdog Susan Rice, the genocide queen, absolutely she is, snaps and lashes out at Pete Hegseth after being removed from Pentagon's Defense Policy Board. An Obama appointee who was on the Defense Policy Board, right? Former UN ambassador and Obama National Security Advisor erupted after she was canned from the Pentagon Defense Board. The board's role is to provide the Secretary of Defense and the Deputy Secretary of Defense with independent, informed advice and opinions concerning matters of defense policy. Rice found out she was sacked on Thursday night. Daily Beast reported her sacking was announced Thursday evening, with the Defense Department issuing a statement that read, changes are needed to support the new strategic direction and policy priorities of the department and to ensure departmental resources are used effectively. Basically saying, Trick, you ain't going to be using the department resources against us. Now, they were talking about leakers in the Defense Department and how leakers will be prosecuted. It's a very hard thing to prosecute a black woman who was appointed by Obama. So clearly she's a leaker. It's danger in prosecuting her. So the best thing you can do is just fire her and get rid of her. Yeah. You remember Pam Bondi coming out. Yeah, no, it wasn't Pam Bondi. It was Christy Nome. One of them came out and said, yeah, the leakers are going to be prosecuted. Who you think doing the leaking? Who has the kahunas, the balls to sit there and leak in the Defense Department? Who thinks they're untouchable? There you go. Gateway Pundit reported on Friday that Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth had formally terminated the services of every member sitting on the Department of Defense Advisory Committee. Based on information available on the website as of Thursday, the now defunct panels included several well-known Democrats and Bush-era Republicans. Let's be clear. The people who are judges that are coming against Donald Trump are Obama appointees, Biden appointees, and Bush appointees. When people talk about the Unity Party, the right wing, left wing, all the same bird. Right wing, left wing, all the same bird. Right wing, and I say, no. There's a right wing, left wing bird. That's the Uniparty. That's one bird. And then there's this eagle that the Lord has. That's giant. That has the wings made of the people of the United States of America. And I say it all the time. And people be like, no, you're wrong. Right wing, left wing, the same bird. I'm like, no. You're right, but you're stupid because you're wrong. You don't understand. This is the populism party of America versus the establishment of America. And what we see here is the establishment being fired. Janine Davison, chair, former Undersecretary of the Navy under Obama. Fired. Gone. Zilcho. Out of there. Next person. Michelle Flournoy held major Pentagon roles under Clinton and Obama. Colin Kahl, National Secretary Advisor to then VP Biden, Under Secretary of Defense for Policy under Biden. Susan Rice, Obama. Dana Shell Smith, career diplomat, served as U.S. Ambassador to Qatar under Obama. Eric Elderman, Undersecretary of Defense for the Policy under George W. Bush. John Huntsman Jr. served under George W. Bush. Corey Shackle held roles under Bush associated with AEI and other think tanks known for hawkish international views. This is the wing of the Uniparty's bird that it was inside of the government that Donald Trump was not able to get rid of the first time, and now he knows he has to get rid of him. And Pete Hegseth is doing his job. Yes, he's doing his job. And it's a great thing for us as the American people that Pete Hegseth is doing his job, ladies and gentlemen. It's very important that he does his job and gets rid of these people, because these are all the people that love war. I remember there was a Fat Joe song, 300 Brolic. We want war, boom. We need war, boom. Spirit of Death was on that song. Don't listen to that song. That song make you want to murder somebody. In a statement issued late Thursday, Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell made clear that the department was taking a new direction. I don't think you get no clearer than this. Yesterday, informed by the recently concluded 45-day review of DOD Advisory Committee, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth directed the conclusion of service of all members of each DOD Advisory Committee that had been subject to review consistent with applicable law. Secretary Hegseth appreciates the members' efforts on behalf of the Department in the United States of America, but changes are needed to support the new strategic direction and policy priorities of the department to ensure departmental resources are used effectively. Susan Rice lashed out at Pete Hegseth after she was shown the door on Thursday night. Of course, she hurled racist, sexist epithets to attack the current Secretary of Defense. I would like to find the video and let's listen to the video. But let me say this. Please expect there to be some kind of lawsuit. Please, there's going to be a lawsuit where somebody's going to say, you got to put them back. They're going to try it. But of course it's racism. Of course it's racism. Now, I want you to understand. If we look up the rest of these people, they don't sound like none of these people is no black people names. Susan Rice don't even sound like a black person name, but we know Susan Rice because she's been all over the place. And I'll say this about Susan Rice versus Caterpillar Eyes. There was a point in time where the Democratic Party at least presented black women that were presentable, highly educated, highly demonized. Susan Rice is highly educated, highly articulate, but highly demonized. Now they've gotten to the point where they don't give a damn. Full on, ignorant, demonized minions. Yeah. But of course it's going to be racism. It's racism and sexism against her. Because that's all they got.
Well, if you're a white male Christian cisgender macho MAGA man, you can be as dumb as a rock and be deemed qualified to serve as Secretary of Defense. That's apparently what we've learned from this episode.
Wow. So, the war fighter who went and murdered people for the nation, took lives for the nation. I mean, a bag man is not qualified to talk about defense, but an attorney is. Who ain't never been to war, who ain't never took a life. The only life she's taken is the ones that she's ordered to be taken. The only blood she spilled is the blood that she ordered to be spilled. But the man who actually went into the field, got active, ain't qualified. This is the problem with America. And I can respect Pete Hegseth because I know he went and did it. And I think his decision is going to be better than any attorney who ain't never went and did no dirt. Who went to college. Oh, I know this person. I kissed this person's behind. I grabbed on this person's Johnson. I jerked it this way. I jerked it that way. Yay. It rained. And then I'm in position. That's not the type of people that need to be making war decisions because they've never been to war. In fact, let's just go take a look at this one more time. Let's go up. And let's see. Let's check the names. Janine Davidson. Search. Don't look like she's been to war to me ever. Ever. Let me hit the Wikipedia. Janine Davidson. Let me go back. Janine Davidson. I'm going to have to put former Undersecretary of Navy under Obama. Yeah, that's her. All right, let's see. She had a distinguished career in the U.S. Air Force and in academia, focused on military operations, U.S. foreign policy, and national security. Don't see nothing about her going to war. Michelle Flournoy. You could tell the ones that been to war. Because no, she ain't never whacked nobody. Look at it. She ain't never killed nobody. She ain't never whacked nobody. She ordered people to be whacked, but she ain't whacked nobody. You could tell, because when you look at like what's homegirl, Tulsi Gabbard. Man, you could tell Tulsi Gabbard was active somewhere. She did something. You can look at Tulsi's eyes. You can sit Tulsi on the stage with other women and compare Tulsi, who head looked extremely big, extremely muscular, to the rest of these women and tell Tulsi could get active. No doubt about it. But I'm not going to keep going down that road. Let's finish listening to this foolishness.
But let's also be clear. There's a serious point here. DEI has been used as a slur to suggest that anybody who might be a woman, might be a person of color, might be a religious minority, might have a disability, might be a religious minority, might be a veteran or of Native descent, anybody who has benefited in any way, shape, or form from the notion that we all should be treated equally and that we should be viewed on the basis of our merits and not discounted because we happen to be a woman or happen to be a person of color. Anybody who fits the mold of somebody who is not a white Christian cisgender male.
Trick, when you got in office, there was no DEI. See, this is bull crap. When this dirty Sandy Beach got in office, there was no such thing as DEI. Nobody was talking about DEI when Obama appointed her. There was no concept of DEI. So now she won't blame this on you got, and this is the craziest thing about it. There was no such thing as DEI when Susan Rice hit the scene. None whatsoever. So now she jumps on the DEI bandwagon and says, yeah, it's because they got rid of DEI. So Susan, what you saying is you a DEI appointee? You dumb. Because you want to play victim. You seem dumb and stupid because you want to play victim. There was no such thing as DEI when this woman was appointed. Now, here's the crazy thing about DEI. If they would have did DEI, and if they went and got the best of the best of the best, nobody could say nothing about it. But no. Under DEI at Harvard, they were bringing people into Harvard who couldn't do basic mathematics and write and spell in Harvard. And then teaching them while turning down 4.0 students, both Asian, both white, and black, which they will never tell you, to pick illiterate, dirty, sandy beaches who were illiterate and then educate them like they're going through elementary school and then push them to the heights of power. And then they get in power and they are radicalized and crazy. So if DEI wouldn't have been about being radical and crazy, DEI would have been fine. Nobody could have said nothing about it. If DEI would have been, hey, the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme of various different communities, and they weren't extreme leftists, nobody would have had a problem with it. You want to know why? Because there wouldn't have been these gigantic lapses in things that were going on. But no, you were putting jackasses in place. And then she jumps on the bandwagon of DEI. Anybody who's ever seen Susan Rice knows that she's the exact opposite of what you would call a DEI hire. Highly educated. Super duper highly educated. But see, this is the thing that pissed me off.
Is by definition in this administration deemed inferior.
With damn bones in the ear. You witch?
That is the vast majority, Brian, of the people in this country.
Fucking bones in your ear. Damn witch. Donald Trump, October 18th. Susan Rice, who was a disaster to President Obama as National Security Advisor, is now telling us her opinion on what to do in Syria. Remember, red line in the sand. That was Obama. Millions killed. No thanks, Susan. You were a disaster. Yeah, I'm telling you. Syria, Assad must go. Assad must go. And eventually they overthrew Syria. We saw it. We just recently saw them overthrow Syria. And we saw Assad flee to Russia. And then we saw all the Christians die. So she's been responsible for the death of Jews and Christians. Remember, I was saying in one of my videos, there's things that America exports. There are things that America used to export. America was founded as a Christian nation. I don't care what nobody tells you. If you go read the Declaration of Independence and you read the Federalist letters, you're going to see them invoking the God of heaven. Point blank, period. Not the Queen of Heaven, the God of heaven and earth. Right? And we built colleges and universities to export Christianity into the world. That's what all those universities was founded for. And then they came in and they captured those universities under what you would call communism and socialism, and then they turned the export into foolishness. Anything set up to export Christianity was an altar to the Lord. That's what altars do. And so it was set up as campuses, which were altars to God all throughout the United States of America. And they came in and they conquered them one by 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 one. And then exported perversion all over the world, exported death and destruction all over the world, exported genocide all over the world, whether it be in Rwanda, whether it be in Syria, whether it be in where Muammar Gaddafi was, which was, I forgot what Gaddafi was, whether it be Iraq, exported death is what we export now. Death and LGBTQCBADQRZ. And then import all the goods from China. Exported the jobs. What these people have done is exported every form of prosperity from the shores of America and perverted every form of prosperity from the shores of America and turned us into a death and perverted exportation machine. That's what they did. That's what they did. That's what they did. So Susan writes, I'm glad your murderous, silly, rank devil, dirty, sandy beach behind has been dealt with. And the rest of your dirty, sandy beaches need to be dealt with